What up, you guys? I've been gardening in the rain until like 7:30, so I'm all wet and muddy and pretty much smell like horse manure. But I'm happy. I did not get everything done, but I got a lot of progress. I've got some mint planted and sage and my ranunculus and some poppies. Hopefully they'll come out this year. I like to do everything from seed that I can. Let's see. I transplanted some rosemary bushes last night with the help of my owl friend who was hanging out. I know I told you guys I was looking for an owl as a sign, and somebody said keep my eyes out for an owl, which thank you for those kind comments. They were very encouraging. And actually I did, like last night when I was doing my gardening, when my nocturnal gardening, the owl was sitting in the tree like the whole time. And he's huge. So that was fun. And then today I saw a groundhog, which I don't usually see in someone's yard while I was jogging. And then when I was driving back from Home Depot, I got caught in like a gaggle of turkeys. Which turkeys are like, they I think we talked about turkeys the other night as an animal symbol of you will reap the benefits of something like equivalent to the work that you put in. And it may have been during our daily pick a card reading when Chariot came up. I remember giving that as an example, that turkey as an animal meaning does mean that you will harvest something, harvest abundance, but it will be proportionate to the effort that you put in. My hair. Okay. So, and my strawberries, I got all my strawberries transplanted from all the different little planters, and I've got like 2 large half barrels of strawberries now, so I'm excited about that. Yay! Lots of herbs and veggies to come. I just didn't get to plant all those today, but lots of flowers I'm excited about. All right, with no further ado, let's get into our weekend reading. And I'm pretty excited because it feels like, a lot of times our weekends are about reflecting and really ruminating and integrating. But this weekend, it feels like the anticipation is building. There are manifestations crystallizing and like pushing up against the wall that separates the unmanifest from the manifest. And we're so close. And right now I feel like we are in like the birth canal of something coming through. But it's greatly dependent on us maintaining our balance and our focus and not falling prey to any of the opponent's temptations to make us do reactive behavior. Like, don't do self-defeating tendencies in the last minute, like pop off and lose your temper. A lot of spending that you don't need to spend and just wasting a bunch of money. Going on a judgment spree about someone and just getting like all caught up in criticism and self-righteousness. Don't do that. Don't talk about people. Don't evil tongue. Don't talk negatively about life or yourself right now. Be very careful and very intentional about the words that are coming out of your mouth and what you are talking about and the lens through which you are talking about it. Because there's so much magical energy that's surrounding us right now. And this birthing of spring and this new cycle, this not only this new year, but this new cycle, it's huge. It's like this birthing of self. There's so much manifestation, creative power right now that our words have added effect. So be very careful. Our first card from Radiant Sun. Oh, that's why what I was getting at is that instead of the weekend being like laid back and reflective and pensive, it's like the universe is like caution, warning, be extra vigilant. Like everything is like, it's all lining up, like game face, like everybody positions, like stand up straight, the curtain call, like everybody like places. That's the kind of energy we're in right now. And so concentration came up, which is Mercury in Saturn, or Saturn in Gemini, followed by Jupiter in Virgo, patience, followed by Mercury in Pisces, which is inspiration. Underneath concentration, we got the Three of Swords. Underneath patience, we've got Eight of Wands reversed. Underneath inspiration, we've got Queen of Cups. Yay. Okay, so concentration literally is a card about focused discipline and concentration and buckling down and using your like presence and awareness and consciousness to direct your conscious constructive will. This is focus. This is not letting the monkey mind take over. This is not letting the soap opera in the monkey mind take over. Look at this little imp, right? Riding these lips. And there's like 7 swords up in the air, right? And there's the star in this web. The web to me feels like destiny. And the star is our hope. It's our dreams. It's our healing. And it's like, here's this moment where we're like, oh my gosh, like everything's here and I'm ready and I can feel it. And then all of a sudden it's like we're caught in this web of destiny. We can feel that like we have little to no control. It's all very precarious. Are we going to get eaten alive? We don't know. And, you know, we're trying to like keep tight-lipped and practice this restriction, this conscious silence, this fasting of the flapping of the gab. Right? Like we need to not waste our energy through our mouth. We need to watch what our mouth is letting come through it that is taking our energy away or like costing us points. Right? And so also we need not talk about our manifestation, because that leaks out the energy that is being used to create the pressure and the crystallization that is beginning to solidify and bring into material like reality, the manifestation. So it's like you're taking away all of the potential and the potency. Like, okay, so think about a nebula and you've got all of these neon gas clouds that are full of minerals and metals and elements. And so it would, as those condense, they begin to crystallize and form stars and planets and meteors and comets, right? So think about if there was a leak or like there wasn't enough, the pieces weren't close enough to hold together with gravity. And so they all just started to drift apart, right? And then all of the stuff, the stardust that makes the magic just starts to dissipate and it gets lost, right? So when we talk about the manifestation, that's like we're blowing away all the stardust that needs to be held in tight and contained. You're exposing it to evil eye, evil tongue, negative Nancy, judgmental Judy, like everybody that wants to have a say in the worst case. And in the best case, you're exposing yourself to, oh my God, that's such a great idea. Ooh, let's celebrate this and live in the fantasy now, which dissipates all of the stardust, the magic juice, the miracle juice, and there's nothing left to condense and create. And so spiritually, this is called bread of shame. It's when we are getting high on the light that we haven't earned, we haven't built the vessel for, so there's nothing to sustain this light. So then it spills out and it becomes chaos, or different forms of it, right? Different various types. Like, you know, what is chaos in our life? It's like shit going wrong, like things being annoying, like suddenly you're like late, then you've got like tires blown, and then you've got like unexpected bills, and then you've got some haters, and like all of a sudden you've got enemies in your midst, and you know, like chaos, like, oh, I left my debit card for the 600th time, like it's becoming a lifestyle, like chaos. You know, people who have chaos all around them, right? So it's tangible, it's real. So there are things that we do that create and perpetuate more chaos. And so earning the light builds the vessel that can contain the light and sustain it, and it does not create chaos. That is when we have worked for something and we appreciate it and we can continue to give effort, and like we cannot fuck it up, right? It's like the Olympic person that like knows how hard they've worked and they can keep their discipline, and like they're determined and they're ambitious and they're a gold medal winner and they're a professional, versus the type that like rises in a meteoric rise to fame, and they get all up in the glamour and the glory, and then they have like a downward spiral and they end up on like VH1 Behind the Music, right? Did not build the vessel. Okay. And that might be the person that had like the natural talent. It came easy. And then they had like a stroke of luck, and then they didn't have to work as hard, right? So they didn't have to like, you know, they didn't appreciate it as much. They didn't build the vessel. So it's like building up, it's like spending spiritual energy on a credit card and racking up spiritual interest is basically what it's like. So don't go around counting your chickens before they hatch. Don't go around, you know, having launch parties with every single person, you know, that you know, before you have like started the thing, right? Have you ever accidentally like, I'm going to reveal how nerdy I am. Have you ever crossed something off of your things to do list by accident and it's not the thing that you just did, and you're like, oh no, my satisfaction, my reward for that thing, I accidentally crossed something off before I did it. Now what do I have to look forward to? What do I have to live for? Right? It's that, except it's like a cosmic truth. You know, it's like if you celebrate something before you've actually done it, then it's like you don't have really an incentive to actually materialize the thing anymore. You already got drunk off the potential and the fantasy, but you didn't have to put any work in. Well, now you've already been through the red carpet and, you know, gotten all the attention for the paparazzi. So now your moment's over. You've come and gone. You've blown your it without having done the thing. So that's what that is. So loose lips sink ships. Be like, keep it to yourself, keep it a secret. If you absolutely need to talk to someone, maybe it's someone who you can trade advice about, like shop talk with, like they have some insider knowledge and it's actually constructive to talk to them. Or maybe you have like a best bud that you confide in about all kinds of things like this, and that falls under that umbrella. And maybe they're the same person that you purge the vessel to, right? A 2-in-1. If you don't know about Purge the Vessel, then just join the channel and maybe you'll find out sometime. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but purging the vessel is like a thing that you can do where you can talk to someone, and females particularly need to do this every day, but they need to get things off their chest. And they need to vent at the end of every day and cleanse. And so you can do that to a trusted person, probably maybe the same person or a few tight-knit people. And this doesn't count as evil tongue, because you're not like going around every single person, but like you're consciously like, okay, you're the person I'm purging the vessel with. And it's also probably a person where like it's not gonna have like a bad result, like because you told that person, it's not going to have like an effect, like a negative effect because of it. It doesn't cause a negative effect for someone. Like you can talk to a best friend, or a trusted family member or a spouse or something like that, right? People in your intimate circle. Okay, so concentration with the like watch your mouth, paired with 3 of Swords. So don't voice, like if you're feeling impatient, like, oh, everything's not coming to fruition as fast as you want, or it like from appearances it looks like nothing's ever going to happen. Like, be very careful about letting your disappointment and impatience and angstiness cause you to start talking about things and complaining in a way that actually is planting negative seeds for what you're trying to do, and you're like undermining yourself, and you're like choking the whole thing with weeds, right? So be careful of that. Be careful about speaking negatively. Be careful too right now of like, don't get in any arguments with anyone. Now, like right now may not be the time to have like big confrontations, because negative speech, and especially if you direct anger or something, if a conversation gets out of hand, like that could cause disruption with the flow of your manifestation. It could thwart your progress. It could cause like dissonance and like disruption around you in your energy field, right? We want to be maintaining our inner peace and maintaining that affinity with the light of source. And so we want to strive for unity and oneness and compassion and wholeness, and not separation and conflict and like having insensitive or harsh words traded back and forth. Like, don't do that. Don't sass anyone. Try not to like say anything that like might feel very justified and like satisfying at the time, but you know, it probably was unnecessary. Like, just try not to err on the side of silence right now. Like, if you can take a vow of silence and only speak when necessary, or when things are really positive, like do that. And then also, if you are feeling dissatisfied with your situation right now, whether it be in a living situation, like with a roommate or with a family member or with a spouse or with a boss or somebody, or with something work related with a client, I feel like now is not the time to speak your truth and like try to demand more for yourself, or point out something that could be done better. Even if you're coming at it from a constructive point of view, there are things in the air that might feel like everyone's feeling extra sensitive, and also you might be more blunt than you think you are, or it may be received, it may not be well received. Like it may be received as criticism. It may hit someone at the wrong time and the wrong way. And the things that you're saying, although they might be true and they may be in your mind positive and constructive, and you might be coming from what you think is a healthy place, just may not land well, and it may backfire and work against you right now. So careful about verbalization and communication and things of the like. Where words are many, evil is thereof. And here is a depiction of this in action. I'm going to get you to say something and ruin it all for yourself. I'm going to get you to fuck everything up and ruin everything before your plans come to fruition. I'm going to stab you with these 3 swords. It's like, look, all of these swords that he's sending in, and then they're coming right your way. And so don't let little goblins or gremlins sending like swords to your heart. If anybody is like taunting you, just know, okay, so we always talk about whenever we up level, just expect the opponent to always be like up in our face. It's like playing spiritual basketball at all times. There's always going to be like the offense and the defense, right? And so the opponent is always playing offense, just right up in our face, just all the time, and aggressive. And so it's just going to be part of it. So don't start getting emotional about it. Just anticipate that the opponent is going to come in and send daggers our way to try to get us depressed, sad, insecure, fearful, feeling scarce, feeling like we want to say something back, feeling like we want to defend ourselves, take up for ourselves, whatever it is. Just take it. Put your breastplate on and prepare yourself, right? Because this other reader that I really like, that I watch, he was talking about a concept that I talk about too, but he had an official word for it. I talk on this channel all the time about when the opponent is messing with us and trying to push our buttons and trigger us. The opponent uses the little demon gang that hangs out with us to torture us all the time. Our demons use other people in our lives that aren't like in full possession of their consciousness to say things and do things that trigger us, that make us feel insecure, that thwart our progress, that block us, that get in our way, that distract us. This might be a person that asks you to go to lunch when you were about to have like one of the most creative, like productive, like writing days, and maybe an important concept was going to come through, right? This might be just a person that gets in front of you in traffic and just sets you off into like just a mood, and that mood it affects your consciousness, and then it sends you into like a domino effect, right? It might be a coworker that just does all the right things that grind your gears and highlights your core wounds and trigger subtle defense mechanisms, right? It's like people don't even know they're doing it a lot of times, but they're being used as pawns all the time. And so I'm always like, yeah, a demon gets in them and they're like a flesh puppet, and it's just like moving them around and making them say everything and do things and mess with you and try to like get in the way of your progress. It might even be the people who show up and tell you like well-meaning that like what you're doing is like not a good idea. This isn't good for you. This is not a logical or grounded or smart idea, or maybe even moral, like spiritually you're wrong and you shouldn't do that, right? These people might think that they're well-meaning and they might think that this is all their idea, but it may not even be, right? So that reader called them pendulums. Pendulums, they'll just jump in and cause havoc and then jump right back out. And so, he was making a point recently about being really aware and noticing that when the pendulum comes in, and to catch them before you take the bait. And which is something that we have already been talking about for forever. Okay, and so the next card is patience. So again, don't be triggered by this feeling of angstiness that you feel like you should be seeing more fruits by now. Don't feel like the feelings of despair or devastation or like giving up, right? Just keep going. Don't take it personally. 8 of Wands reversed is like a card that talks about like there's like delays or maybe a hesitation. You've been hesitant and indecisive. And so it's caused an insecurity that is adding to like the block and the slow and like the slowdown and obstacles. So it's the perpetuation of the fear that began as a seed level of like this feeling of like insecurity and uncertainty, and then it grew from there into like you made a mountain out of a molehill. So it's like your own like homespun anxiety like making like catastrophizing something that's just not real, right? So it's like, oh, like you're worried for nothing, and it's not that you're doing it wrong or that it's never going to happen. It's just patience. It's closer than you think. Just keep holding on, stay steady, stay stable. Don't get yourself in an upset. Try to remain as emotionally grounded as possible. Because that's what's really going to keep you on point. We've got to stay disciplined and like really intentional and focused right now. And the more that we can like direct our healing and our gaining all this clarity, it's like all of a sudden everything's becoming so much more clear, and it's all clicking. And so we're able to identify, the triggers and the pendulums and the meat puppets, when they're happening. And now it's about pausing and going slow enough to decide, okay, what make like sovereign conscious choices about what to do and the choices that we're making and the things that we're saying and the people that we're becoming. So big things are brewing, and I think that they're about to come through. We've got Queen of Cups, and this is, often we forget that, like, we focus on this Queen of Cups being very intuitive and very caring and very nurturing, and like everybody goes to her for advice and, to feel that loving, nurturing feeling. But and the Queen of Cups, like, the warning that comes from that is like sometimes she overgives, and she can be, have like porous boundaries because she's water, right? And she's mutable, and she's open and vulnerable and accepting and empathic and sensitive and psychic and intuitive and all of that. But there's another side to the Queen of Cups, and that is having fulfillment and satisfaction and love, and having the cup runneth over, and being in a state of pleasure and joy and fulfillment, and feeling like full, like your heart is so full that it's overflowing, and you have like a command and authority over the kingdom of your heart. And so and it's like also this woman here, she knows beyond reason. She knows beyond logic. She bases things on feeling and intuition. And because of that, she has foresight of things coming through that haven't arrived yet. And because of this, she enjoys the fulfillment and pleasure of listening to her intuition and following that guidance. And so that is what all this reading is about. It's like we have this feeling and this knowing, okay, I can feel something approaching. I can feel things brewing. I can feel something coming through. Maybe you've even already had like the offer or the idea present this week. There was something that was possibly going to present, right? Maybe you have you saw what that was. Maybe it wasn't what you expected, right? But just know that like you're on to something is coming through, and that's why we're being warned. Okay, don't get upset and let your emotions make you feel discouraged or angry or jealous or envious or resentful right now, and like say something that's going to throw a wrench in your progress. Stay positive, keep balanced, keep grounded, stay focused, keep your head in the game. Don't get caught up in drama and other people's things and projects that don't concern you or that aren't part of your divine plan right now, right? It's that important that we just stay focused and keep our nose to the grindstone. We have Mercury in Pisces. And I think that this card talks about like this muse is inspiration, and she's sort of dancing around this household that has sort of a pale sun. And so it's like, this is like the depiction of something that's like kind of sad times, or like maybe like things haven't been so great. And like, this is like the spirit of, warmth and comfort and inspiration and compassion. And so if we start to feel cranky and angsty and impatient and anxious and grasping and, feel those feelings of desperation, the key is going to be to answer it with, instead, practice compassion and empathy and seek to reach for inspiration, either in doing things that inspire you or look for what inspires you in any given situation, or focus on things that inspire you to get you through situations. Connect with that why, and seek to share inspiration and inspire others, right? So when we're feeling angsty and we're like trying to practice all of this self-control, and sometimes you're like, what do I do with all of this extra energy? Like, I don't know like how to shift my channel right now, like from anger and resentment, or feeling greedy, or feeling like I'm being left out and it's not fair, or whatever it is that's like taunting the old like triggers that come up. No, whatever it is right now, what's more compassionate? What's more empathic? How can I have more empathy and compassion with boundaries, and do something that it doesn't drain me but inspires me, and seek to inspire others. When we show up as a vessel of receiving for the sake of this, for the self alone, it's draining. When we put ourselves, when we put our efforts into a project and we're just wondering what we can get out of it, when it's going to return on investment, it's draining. But when we when we heal just for our own self, it's like, it's fine, but it's not the same as when we heal for the sake of like being better in our community, being better, like making the world a better place, and then sharing that with others. So receiving for the sake of sharing, right? And not just receiving for the self alone. When you put effort into a venture that you're doing it from a giving heart, and you're doing it because you're so excited about what you're sharing with the world, and you're doing it from a consciousness of sharing and not so much about what's coming back to you because of it, then you're in a state that like replenishes your energy, and it's motivating and energizing and inspiring, and it doesn't drain you of the energy. All right, you guys. Well, I am going to go take a hot bath now and enjoy the rest of my evening. It is Shabbat, so I will have my Manischewitz and Mahala. Mahala Chal tomorrow for our Saturday night secret sermon, where we have our midnight secret teachings of Jesus episodes. They end up usually uploading through the night and post around like sometime in the morning on Sunday. So you can always follow the channel and turn on notifications. And then the bell, like if you touch that bell, or touch the bell, if you touch the bell, do the bell thing, and then you'll get like a notification when my videos go up, because sometimes like the uploads just take forever on YouTube, and sometimes they don't, and so you never know when one's gonna be, I don't know, just popping up in a weird time. But that's all for tonight. Ciao.